Hello, my dear students. How are you doing? Fantastic. That's what I like to hear. And I am speaking in English, so that means that this must be a simple English video. Because if you don't know, you're not going to advance very far in English if you are focusing on grammar the entire time. In fact, grammar is just a tiny tool that can help you understand a little bit of the language. If you actually want to become fluent, you need to be listening. You need to be reading in order to become fluent. Now, if you want a little bit of extra help, click on the subtitles in English. They should be right here. And let's begin with the topic of today's simple English video. If you don't know, I am a good looking man. And because I'm a good looking man, I had the opportunity when I was younger to model for a little bit. I know, you are surprised that I was a model. And it's true. When I was 19 years old, I had the opportunity to model for a little bit. Now let me give you a little bit of background information on how this happened. My mom has a cousin, and when they were kids, they spent a lot of time together. But when they got older, they grew apart, and they no longer talked to each other. They no longer spent time with each other. Very common in Canada and the United States for things like that to happen because people move to different cities for work or for fun. And in the case of my mother, she had a family. In the case of her friend, I think she also had a family, and I think she also liked to have fun. But I'm not 100% certain because I never met her until I was 19 years old. But fast forward to 2010. I'm in Vancouver. You probably already know that from my video where I talk about what I studied. And I'm in Vancouver. And who else is in Vancouver but my mom's cousin, her friend. And this is when Facebook was still very common to use in order to connect with friends and family. And I believe that my mom's cousin and her began following each other, or they became friends on Facebook. And her cousin began looking at some of my photos on Facebook because my mom took a few photos of me on the farm when I was 17 years old. And I like taking photos. I like to be an idiot and do weird poses for the camera. So there were quite a few photos of me posing. And it turns out that my mom's cousin, before, she was grooming dogs, but after moving to Vancouver, she had decided to become an acting and model agent at a acting and modeling agency. And again, if you might not know this, but Vancouver is known as Hollywood North because many movies are shot in Vancouver. And of course, lots of commercials are shot in Vancouver. So for me, if I ever watch a movie, a big blockbuster movie in the cinema, many times I will recognize bridges or forests or buildings which are from Vancouver. That's how common it is for Hollywood to shoot movies in the city, the third largest city in Vancouver. So my mom's cousin, she was working in a modeling agency and she saw my photos. She thought that I looked pretty good. I had some good angles for modeling. And as a young man, without many job prospects in university and also thinking about all the hot models I might be able to hang out with, when she offered to do a test shoot with me for her modeling agency, I took up the opportunity right away and we did a test shoot. Now a test shoot is basically a simple photo shoot that an agency will do with a potential model to see if they will be a good fit for future projects or future campaigns. So we did the test shoot and they liked me. And like I said, thinking about making a little bit of money, thinking about meeting hot girls, I accepted the opportunity. Now I'm not going to go into all the little details, but over the next year and a half, I did multiple photo shoots. I was in a magazine, I took a few photo shoots for my portfolio, but I wasn't in any big campaigns. I would say the thing that I enjoyed the most of my year and a half as a model was probably the catwalks. So the catwalks are when a model walks down a runway to show off new clothes from a fashion designer or a clothing line. So I did that for one small clothing store in Vancouver, and I also did Vancouver Fashion Week, I believe in 2010. And I was really good at the catwalk. I don't know why, I just knew how to walk the catwalk pretty well. So actually, there were a lot of new models in Vancouver Fashion Week and they wanted me to show them how to walk the catwalk. And again, for me, I was really young. I didn't really think I knew what I was doing, but they thought I did. So I showed the other guys how to do it. Now all this work, what was it for? The main goal of the agency, so my mom's cousin, she was my agent more or less, was to get me prepared for a showcase of new models. Because most of the models from Vancouver, they normally didn't go to New York, they normally didn't go to Paris, they normally didn't go to Miami. Most of the work they got was actually in China. Now this might be surprising to you, but Chinese people love models who are white. So they were hiring lots of models from Canada and the United States to go over to China and model clothes. Again, I don't know why this is. It's kind of like with Japanese manga, Japanese anime, all the characters are white even though they are drawn and made by people who are not white. But again, it's a cultural thing. I don't completely understand it. I'm not completely comfortable with it. But for a lot of young white models, male and female, if you got a contract to go over to China, you could make a lot of money. You weren't going to become rich, but for a young person, yeah, you can make a lot of money modeling for the Chinese. So the main goal over the year was to get experience as a model, do photo shoots, do the catwalk, build my portfolio so that in 1 year, more or less, when there was this showcase for Chinese and other Asian modeling agencies, there would be a good chance that I could get a contract to go to China and model. And that's what I did. I built a portfolio and in about 1 year we had the showcase. And I walk the catwalk, I talk with a few agencies, but disappointingly, nobody wanted to use me as a model. Now, why didn't anybody want to use me as a model? I think the main reason for it was I'm not super tall. So in the modeling world, they usually want male models to be more than 6 feet and ideally between 6'1" and 6'3". In my case, I am 5'11", more or less. So I'm about 1-2 inches too short for the modeling world. Now, maybe a second reason was that I'm really skinny, which isn't a problem. But at this showcase for the Chinese modeling agencies, they didn't prefer skinny models. The skinny androgynous models, so androgynous in the sense that it's a person that can pass off as a man or a woman. This type of model was really popular in New York and Paris. And the Chinese didn't really want that. They want a model with a little bit more muscle. And so I didn't have that. So two things working against me were I was a bit too short and I was a bit too skinny. After this showcase, I was really disappointed. My mother was really disappointed. I think the biggest reason we were disappointed was because the modeling agency, they had made us a lot of promises. They said, oh, for sure, you're gonna go to China, you're gonna make a lot of money. Other agencies are gonna want to use you in campaigns. When that didn't happen, we felt like we were lied to. And in my family, we really don't like being lied to. We really don't feel like we've been used or we've been played. And after this, we felt like we had been played. So my mom was really disappointed in her cousin, and I was also a little disappointed in her cousin too, because she had made all these promises and she had been really excited, and then nothing that she promised ever happened. Now this doesn't mean that my modeling career had to end. They still wanted to use me as a model. Actually, they wanted to use me as a model, but they wanted to use me more for acting, more for commercials. So sometimes you guys will say, Profe, you should go into acting because you would be a good actor. You're very expressive and you look good on camera. And that's what they wanted to use me for. And at that time, Twilight, the vampire movies, were really popular. And me, being pale, white, had the perfect look for those vampire movies, which were shot in Vancouver, and for commercials which were using white males that were really pale at the time. But I really wasn't interested in acting. I've never had any dreams of being an actor. I didn't want to do it, so I refused. And then on the modeling side, they really wanted me to go towards this androgynous style. And I'm not gay. I'm not really metrosexual. I don't really have a good connection with my feminine side. I feel like a really masculine man, even if I might not look like it because I'm skinny. And it was very uncomfortable for me to be surrounded by these very feminine people who wanted to use me more like a female than as a man. And now what I'm going to say might be controversial, but in the modeling industry there are a lot of strange men, let's say that. And all these strange men have kinks and maybe a little bit perverted. And I always got this bad feeling from many of these men that they wanted to do things with me, or that they were in the industry in order to take advantage of impressionable young men. Now I wasn't that impressionable, but I didn't want to be surrounded by these types of men. And if you know a lot about Hollywood gossip, you know that these men do exist. They take advantage of young women and they take advantage of young men. And I just didn't want to be involved in it at all. So after this showcase for Asia, I didn't really do any more modeling. I forgot about it completely. I haven't done anything in modeling ever since. But who knows? If you are in Latin America and you want to use a handsome Canadian in your fashion campaign, let me know and maybe I'll practice my poses and my catwalk for you. And that's it for now. I will leave some questions for you about this video down below if you want to practice your English a little bit more. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. If you like the video and you want me to keep making simple English videos, like it, subscribe, and click on the bell button to get notifications when I release new videos. And I'll see you in the next video, my dear, dear student.